Welcome in. I hope you're ready for a little something that's a blast from the past, a little bit of tapping, a little bit of scratching, and a little bit of story. Now, if you're ready for all that, take a seat, unwind, relax, and let's do it. Today's video is TV show collections, and these are some of my favorite. We're starting with, and you've probably picked up on this already because you are awesome, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the complete series. Let's just read this summary for a minute. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the complete series. Go back to the beginning to experience the epic saga of Avatar: The Last Airbender again with the complete collection. From the discovery of Avatar Aang in the frozen iceberg to the mastery of all four elements, from the battle at Ba Sing Se to the final showdown with the Fire Nation, your destiny awakes as you relive all the powerful bending that blew you away once more. And on the back here, we've got Aang as a Earthbender. Here we've got him as a Waterbender, still in his Airbender attire. And over here we've got the final stage of Aang, which is fire. Now, as you can see here, it says water, earth, and fire. He already knew airbending. He was taught that at the Southern Air Temple by, according to the movie Monkeyatsu. Let's look at this because this is a pretty iconic way to begin a summary. After disappearing for 100 years, Aang has returned to face his destiny as Avatar, and just in the nick of time as the four nations are at war and the Fire Nation is threatening to take over. Only the Avatar can restore balance, but first he, along with his friends Katara and Sokka, must begin his journey to master the four elements. If that doesn't get you hype, I don't know what does. You know what? To be fair, it's not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people see it as a cartoon, which to those people I just implore you to watch the show, and you will find out that the story is just the same as in a live action. You will find yourself crying, getting excited, all of the spectrum of emotions, maybe some scared, some fear for Aang here, for Katara, for Sokka. It could all come to you with cartoons, anime, all of it. It's always good to give art a chance. If you're willing to go stand in a museum and look at paintings, you can do the same thing with cartoons because they're not just for kids. I, as a former animator, can tell you that for a fact. Of course, we are all kids at heart. It's just people who like cartoons let the child play a little more. Next, my favorite sitcom. I'm probably not in the majority there, but How I Met Your Mother, the complete series. Here we've got Lily, Marshall, Ted, Robin, Sparkles, and Barney, the absolute legend. Wait for it. Derry, legendary. man himself. Alright, so suit up for all 9 legendary seasons of the slap-happy show that took TV comedy to hilarious new heights. Join Barney, Robin, Marshall, Lily, and their romantically challenged best friend Ted for more than 200 truly awesome episodes. Relive all the inside jokes, crazy time jumps, never saw that coming plot twists, and classic long-running gags from the bro code to the doppelganger to Robin Sparkles to the infamous slap bet between Marshall and Barney. Oh boy, that slap bet is all over my mind. This pineapple, I can't quite remember what the episode was about, but the pineapple just showed up out of nowhere. And I've got to say, my favorite episode of the series has to be Season 4, Episode 2, because that is all about this best burger in New York, and they're chasing it and chasing it and chasing it, and once all hope is lost, they get a trail. They've been searching and searching and searching. I think the message is really good for it. It's basically Marshall wanted this burger one last time before he gave in to the evil empire or the dark side. I remember watching this as a kid. I would watch season 2 so much because that is the only one I owned at the time. So I would just watch season 2 again and again and again and again. But I never saw season 1, so I never quite knew why it was such a big deal that Lily was coming back from San Francisco. And in the end, it was still a fantastic season. But I did get to watch it many, many times. For a long time, I actually watched the complete series all the way through, repeated it, watched it all the way through, repeated it. I would go to sleep to the episodes. I'm not sure if you have a show that you do that with, but I would do that with this show after a while. And yeah, it was... Let's clarify something. I said it's my favorite comedy show. I have seen The Office, and that is why I said it was my favorite. And it might be more recency bias, I'm not sure, but The Office is like this cute, quirky thing, while How I Met Your Mother is a similar tone, but not the exact same tone. So, no matter what, it is a fantastic show. Next up, for you 90s kids, for you 2000s kids, this one should spark quite a few memories if you watched Nickelodeon before SpongeBob. These were the children that occupied all of our time. The Rugrats, the RUGRATS complete series once again. Let's read the back, shall we? This must be your ducky day. The whole world is a big adventure waiting to be explored with all 9 seasons of Rugrats, the classic Nickelodeon TV show in a 26-disc complete series collection. Tommy, Chucky, Angelica, Phil, Lil, and Susie find themselves in a slew of adventures, both real and imaginary. Boldly go where no baby's ever gone before, as the Rugrats turn the ordinary into the extraordinary every day. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. The back does not include our girl Kimmy right here. Had no mention of her. But let's go through this here. Go through the roster. Angelica, the bratty child, the 5-year-old that was playing with 1 and 2-year-olds. Susie, I believe her and Angelica were meant to be closer in age. We've got Kimmy right here in the middle. We've got Chucky, and they are step-siblings. Chucky's dad married Kimmy's mom. We've got Tommy, Dill, Phil, and Lil. I've got to say, the movies were fantastic. Seeing the whole progression of Tommy having all this responsibility just dumped on his lap at the ripe age of like 1.5 years old. He's got to now share his parents, but his parents are giving all their time to his little brother now, and he just feels like the black sheep of the family. And it's actually quite a sad movie at first, but it does get better. Tommy does learn responsibility, or like he says in the movie, sponsibility. I've got to say, on the back here, a couple words were tripping me up because they had a couple apostrophes in them. Waitin' to be splored is exactly how that's spelled. Waitin' to be splored. Alright, now let's get into the next age range, I guess you could say, in Star Wars Clone Wars. And if you've been around for a while, you've probably seen me ranting and raving on other videos about how much I enjoy this show. This right here is season 1 through 5. I have the Lost Stories, but I don't believe I have them right here with me, but it's all good. Everything is okay. And because there is no summary, let's just go through really quick. Starting with the movie, Ahsoka Tano is apparently not Obi-Wan's apprentice. Obi-Wan signs Anakin up to have an apprentice of his own, even though he's not fully ready for it. But by the end of the movie, you can see a definite shift. It's really more halfway. He kind of starts seeing her as a friend, someone to challenge him. And as they chase after Jabba's son, they find themselves getting along more and more because they are very similar people. Next, we've got the actual show. I remember the first episode so clearly because I've seen it so many times. It's all about our boy Yoda here, and he's going to negotiate peace. I can't remember with who, but basically him and this small batch of clones is making their way across the planet because their ship had crashed. And one wave after another wave after another wave, the Separatists are sending everything they have at Yoda, and he just keeps prevailing until he finally gets to the leader of the planet, and they start to negotiate. Here, we're going to go over the characters now. We've got Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, Rex, Cody, I believe this is Echo, this I think is Fives, and I cannot myself point out any others, but we move to this side with C-3PO, R2-D2. On this side, the illustrious Cad Bane. And finally, we get to the dark side of the case, the back side. We've got Pre Vizsla. We've got Darth Maul, Darth Sidious, Asajj Ventress, Count Dooku, General Grievous, and that is all. Anyway, let's move on. Next, we're going to go back to some comedy with American Dad. Now, pretty much everything Seth MacFarlane does, I very much enjoy. He's just got this, like, funny, stupid comedy style that's just kind of dumb, but, like, he knows where the pauses really should be, and sometimes he keeps that pause just past the point of comfortability, and a lot of people see it as stupid, but I see it as a reason to laugh. Here we got our guy, Stan Smith, CIA agent, and let's see what this has to say. From the delightfully twisted creative minds behind Family Guy comes American Dad, the animated tour de force featuring CIA operative Stan Smith, his outrageous family, and Roger, the alcoholic extraterrestrial who lives with them. Follow the adventure of the Smiths from the California desert, where Stan's wife Francine relives her teenage years at the Burning Man Festival, to Saudi Arabia, where the entire family is sentenced to death by the Vice and Virtue Police. Whether it's rigging elections, big difference there, erasing memories, casing sleazy strip clubs, or staging bum fights, it's all in a day's work for Stan, and it's all here in the side-spittingly hilarious first season of American Dad. This is another show that I watched religiously when I was young. I absolutely loved American Dad. We didn't have cable, so when I found this at a Sam's Club for $10, I was like, I'm going to spend my allowance on this, and I'm going to get it. And basically what happened was I got Volume 1 and Volume 4 a few weeks later, and that was all I could ever find. So it was several years before I got to see the rest of it, back when it was on Netflix. And just going over the characters, we've got Roger, Francine, Stan, I'm blanking at Steve, and Haley. Quick recovery there. Alright, I'm gonna save the controversial one for last. And but continue with Smallville. Smallville is one of those things that was just kind of always on TV, or at least cable network. Cable TV? One of those. Whatever you call this stuff on the... I'm blanking on that too. Antenna. I would see excerpts bit by bit of Smallville. And I really enjoyed it, but I never got to watch the full series. And this is the first one that I actually have not watched all the way through, purely because of time, but I did really enjoy the first few seasons for what I've seen. When it starts to get into the 5 to 7 plus seasons, it gets very hard for me to stay with a show, because at that point, probably 6 other shows, let's say that's generous, probably a good 20-25 shows have come out that I also then have to keep up with. So it gets very difficult. But this show is the reason that I really care about Superman as a whole. I've never been a big DC fan. I've never been like this huge Superman fan. But this version of Clark Kent showed so much humanity, and it was really well done. And yeah, they had 9 seasons to flesh it out, so, or more. I'm not 100% sure. Let's read the summary real quick. Superman's roots grow deeper in Season 2 of Smallville. This 6-disc collection includes all 23 episodes plus bonus material worthy of a superhero. This year finds Clark Kent grappling with his calling as he explores his true origins. Was he sent to Earth to save humanity or destroy it? Lana and Clark grow closer than ever before. Lex gets married. Lionel lures Chloe toward the dark side. Martha and Jonathan Kent receive miraculous news, and Pete becomes a keeper of Clark's secret. One thing we can't keep secret, the legend grows stronger in Smallville. Not bad at all. I'm not even 100% sure where it's streaming at this point, but it's somewhere. It's definitely somewhere. Finally, we get to our hottest take of the video in Game of Thrones. Now, let me tell you why I really enjoyed Game of Thrones. It is because I waited until all 8 seasons were out and finished. I literally just binge watched the show. I didn't finish it the first time though. The first time I got super pissed off because of the Red Wedding, because Robb Stark was my guy. I had 3 people I really cared about. Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, and Robb Stark. Robb Stark had the most screen time, so he's the one I had the biggest attachment to at this point. And then just to see him go out like that, oof, irritated me. I stopped watching Game of Thrones for 2 years. And then after the 2 years, I went back, rewatched everything I had watched before, season 1 to season 8. And let me tell you, if you waited all 12, 15 years to see that season 8, I understand why you're upset. And you're 100% valid. I didn't think it was that bad because I didn't have to wait. If you were a loyal fan all the way through, I understand. I can see where you're coming from. But this here is the complete 3rd season. So, nothing controversial there. Most people I talk to usually say, as long as you're in 1 through 4, you're in golden Game of Thrones. But I don't. You know what? Let's read it. These last 2 have had kind of long summaries, so you can see right there. In the 3rd season of the hit HBO drama series Game of Thrones, the Lannisters barely hold on to the throne after a savage naval onslaught from Stannis Baratheon. While stirrings in the north threaten to alter the overall balance of power, Robb Stark, King of the North, faces major calamity in his efforts to build on his victories over the Lannisters while beyond the wall. Manta Raider and his huge army of wildlings continue their inexorable march south. Across the narrow sea, Daenerys Targaryen, reunited with her 3 fast-maturing dragons, attempts to raise an army to sail with her from Essos, in hopes of eventually claiming the Iron Throne. In Season 3 of the original series based on George R.R. Martin's best-selling books, the battling families of Westeros continue to clash as bonds are strained, loyalties are tested, and cruel fates are met. And just looking back here, we've got Daenerys Targaryen, we've got Robb Stark, we've got Jon Snow, Cersei Lannister, Jaime Lannister, and I can't believe I'm forgetting this character. Ain't no way. He's literally the most important dude on that battlefield. His last name is Lannister, I can tell you that. The poetics, the concept, the new characters, Jojen, Beric. Oh boy. Anyway, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for being here. This is ASMR Scotty, and I will see you in the next video.